Let's do a show. Let's do a show right now. What are we doing?
Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Let's go!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born!
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So excited. Since the last pitch of the World Series, been counting down the days until opening day of the 2017 baseball season is right around the freaking corner. For me, it's Monday the 3rd of April. That is when the Mets take the field. I will be on the West Coast on that day, so the game will happen at the crack of 10 a.m. And I'm considering, well, no, I don't think I'll take the day off, but if I sound a little distracted that day, you'll understand why. You'll forgive my, but there's something about it. There's something about, and I don't know what it is for you, but everybody needs that something. Everybody needs something that can take them out of their head, out of their mind, out of their day-to-day worries. Everybody needs something that, I guess, provides a bit of an escape. Look, you work hard. I think that's the one common denominator we've come to recognize that everybody that listens to this show has. We get people from both sides of the political fence. We get the apolitical types that would rather there was complete anarchy in the streets and everybody look after themselves. We get the lefties, the righties, all of the above. But based on the email that you send me, based on the messages that you send me, the common thread that runs between everybody that listens to this show is you work hard. You grind away every single day to give the best that you can to the people that matter the most. And that's awesome, and you should be commended for it. But even you, my friend, deserve a little bit of a break from that. You deserve a little bit of a break from the worries of, oh gosh, this bill is piling up. The garage door isn't working properly. The kid's been acting up in class. We all deserve it. And for me, and a lot of people, I know it's baseball season. And so if you, like me, are only too eager to rush headlong into the emotional roller coaster ride that is 162 plus baseball games a year, then, well, I salute you, because I know you share this with me. Whether it's the Mets, it really shouldn't be, or not, we all have something to look forward to. In fact, our guest on the show today, award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein, you're going to opening freaking day of your beloved Los Angeles Dodgers.
My beloved Los Angeles Dodgers. My birthright. My beloved Los Angeles Dodgers.
I was in Austria a couple weeks ago, hanging out with my pops. And my dad had heart surgery. And I was there sort of like seeing him through it. And the first couple of days we were in Austria, we saw stuff. My dad had been working there for like the last 6 months, but hadn't seen any of Vienna. So we actually took some time and ran around town as best we could and saw stuff and went, ooh, that's pretty and historic. And then the rest of the time, because we weren't as mobile, because we were either in the hospital or sort of resting up from the hospital, I used the royal we, but obviously it was my dad that was doing the heavy lifting in this situation. We hung out and we talked. And if you ever get a chance to just sort of like sit there and talk without without an available exit with your parents, I recommend it, especially as an adult, because you're going to uncover some stuff that you never knew. And one thing that my father was telling me that I'd never known he did was when he was a kid growing up in New York, his friend's uncle owned the Los Angeles Dodgers. And so my dad got to go down to Vero Beach in Florida and take batting practice in their cages and stuff. It was an amazing story. I was like, did you get autographs? He's like, no. We were told in no unquestioning way that we were to stay the hell out of everyone's way. But we got to go hang out and like see the dugouts. And then when the Dodgers were done taking batting practice, he was like, at the time, pitching machines, batting cages, it wasn't like you could just go put a quarter in a machine and go do that. This was like some high-tech stuff for the professionals only. So to get to do that in Vero Beach was a big deal. So I thought you'd appreciate that.
Oh, my God. That's like the greatest fantasy camp ever. And who needs an autograph if you're taking hacks in the Dodgers
Yeah.
I mean, and like, look, Dodgertown in Vero Beach, Florida, it is a storied place. The Dodgers haven't been there for years. They moved to Arizona years ago and built a whole new facility, but Dodgertown is still there, still thriving, and people go there for fantasy camp all year long because it's God's beloved Dodgers.
Yeah. No, and you know what? And again, like you're probably dying hearing this, being a lifelong Dodger fan. That is your birthright. But my dad was sort of a Yankee fan, so he was like, "Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool." But it wasn't like a Dodger fan getting to go and stand in the Dodgers'
severe
batting
emotional
cages.
disorders. But it's I'm just saying.
Well, not only are we close to opening day, we are also close to April Fool's Day, and I believe award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein is here to regale us with a tale of the worst joke ever, possibly. We'll get into that next. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, baseball season is right around the corner. Baseball season's right around the corner. For me, opening day is Monday, the 3rd of April. We've been counting the days down since the final pitch of the World Series, and I can't freaking wait. We are joined on the show today by award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein. Sam did something to me that I never ever pictured would ever happen in a million bazillion years. Sam has turned me into a Los Angeles Dodgers sympathizer. The fan would be a strong word.
Just to be fair, though, the Mets were always sort of my guilty pleasure for a long time because it was where all of my favorite Dodgers ended up.
Right, sure.
So,
yeah, no, I mean, how can you stop loving Mike Piazza?
I'm still not over that trade.
Nobody's over that
Chase
trade.
Carey from Fox is the one who made the trade. He was not an executive with the Dodgers. He was an executive at Fox. And I'm not over it.
Well, it's interesting. It was like really Mike Piazza. And by the way, to the Mets and Dodgers fans out there, we have instantly become gods. To the other 85% of the audience, we've alienated them completely. But Mike Piazza was given his shot by Tommy Lasorda. And when he was going into the Baseball Hall of Fame, Tommy called him up. He was like, "Are you going in as a Met or a Dodger?" And he's like, "I'm going in as a New York Met." And apparently Tommy Lasorda was like all kinds of mad at him. He was like, "Dude, you traded him away." Like,
yeah, Tommy,
what the hell you expect?
Tommy's a beloved figure around town, but he's also definitely has a lot of edge. And let's just say sometimes he is not afraid to still maybe take on a San Francisco Giants fan in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium. I'm saying allegedly, supposedly, reportedly, maybe he's gone like physical on like guys like 50 years younger than him. So
he's an opinionated individual.
And that story about Tommy and Mike also like Tommy was a good friend of Mike's father's, and yes, it helped get him drafted with the Dodgers, but the fact was there was always great scouting on Mike. Like he always had a strong bat. Like if you look at all the scouting reports through high school, he had a huge bat. The problem was they never could find a position for him to play because he was sort of a terrible position player until they got him in at catcher. And then they made it work for him. But he always had a huge bat.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
careful.
I mean...
Gosh. Easy.
We're talking sports, Funkhouser, not...
Okay.
Yeah, this is a sports ball conversation.
Not a gag ball conversation.
But as we were saying earlier, my dad, when he was a kid back in the day, his one of his high school buddies, Walter O'Malley, who owned the Los Angeles Dodgers, was his uncle. And so because of that, my dad and two of his high school friends, one of whom, I kid you not, was called Biff. Biff Bennett. My dad and his buddy Biff Bennett went
notorious
down to Vera,
Biff.
The notorious Biff Bennett went down to Vero Beach, Florida, and got to take hacks in the Dodgers batting cages. And at the time, like, not everybody had access to a batting cage. It was like kind of this big sort of deal. And I was like, well, did you meet any of the Dodgers? Did you get to hang out with them? And he's like, no. We were told absolutely we had to stay the hell out of the way. But it was still a magical, wonderful time. And it got me thinking, have you ever met any of your sports heroes, Sam? Have you ever had a chance to be like, oh, it's you? Like, has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple of times. Once, and this was, I don't know, I think I was like 30 years old, and I was wandering through a mall in L.A., the Beverly Center, and it was just like an afternoon, and it was kind of empty in there, and I look up, and I'm like, holy crap, that's Magic Johnson. It's Magic Johnson. You know, the thing was, like, I'm born and raised like a Dodgers fan. I started going to the games when I was 3 years old, but they drafted Magic Johnson, the Lakers did, when I was like in 6th grade or 5th grade when I was 11 years old, and then the whole city was just Magic this, Magic Lakers, Magic, and I grew up on Magic Johnson, and oh my God, to see him now, I see him everywhere. Like, well, not everywhere, but Dodger games, like Magic is everywhere, right? But I was like, oh my God. And then
Did
another
you talk
time,
to him?
No, I didn't. I did not talk to him. He was just with a buddy, and I kind of looked at him and I was like, hey, Magic. He was like, hey, and it was pretty rad.
That's awesome.
Because you have to be a dude. But I did, on another one, shooting a commercial once. It was the hottest day of the year. It was sometime in July, and it was blistering hot out. And I was standing center ice at the Pickwick Ice Rink in Burbank next to the great one, Wayne Gretzky, shooting a commercial.
Whoa, man.
Oh, dude. Whoa. And it was right after the Kings had made the run for the Stanley Cup, and he'd been like on this radio show that I listened to all the time, and he kept calling in, and they started nicknaming him the correspondent. And I'm sitting and I'm standing there with Wayne center ice, and I'd been going, like, I went to 20-25 hockey games a year. I went to every playoff game. Like, I was live and breathe hockey, and I'm standing next to Wayne. I'm like, how do I like break the proverbial ice between me and the great one? And I just looked up and I'm like, so Wayne, what's up, bro? We going to get a summer report from the correspondent or what?
How'd that go over?
He just looks at me and he's like, and he gets this huge smile on his face and he goes, oh, were you listening to that? That was so much fun. Oh, I love it. You know, it was Jim Rome show, and he's like, Jimmy's the best guy ever. Ah, that was awesome. So I had a moment with the great one.
Fantastic. Well, we'll discuss a significantly less great moment in Sam's life, the worst joke ever, next. Are we doing that next, Funkhouser?
Next. That's next. Next.
Real Radio. Real Radio. 104.1.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of yous, guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
Alrighty then. We are joined in the studio today by award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein, who's going to tell us a tale of, I believe, the worst joke ever.
Well, here, let's just talk about, like, April Fools for 1 second, because what is April Fools but, like, just big, bad, horrible jokes, right? Horrible jokes. So my story isn't actually an April Fool's joke. It's just a big, bad joke. But on a side note, and back to our little theme of baseball here, I was looking a few things up. Your opening day starter, your boy Thor, Noah Syndergaard, who's already like 6'12", 380 pounds of hard carb muscle as it is. You know how he spent the offseason? You know what he did?
Yes, I do, but why don't you tell everybody?
He added 17 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
17 more pounds of muscle. Yeah. That's like Hulk going, hey, Let's get some gains, yo. I mean,
and
come
his
on.
his unhittable pitch used to be like the 90-mile-an-hour slider, and now he feels like his changeup, which is also outrageously fast, is going to be even harder.
The balls actually catch fire as they re-enter the atmosphere. It's horrible.
But you know what? Here's the thing. Everybody has a weakness in their armor, and I think it's pretty well known that Thor's is because of his size, because of his immenseness, he's easy to run on. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
You have that to look forward to. But I mean, okay, if we're going to stop and talk about like the Mets pitching staff, it's aces upon aces upon aces. We have, there's Thor, there's DeGrom, there's Harvey, who looks like he's come back from his surgery really well. And then there's people like Lugo and Gesellman, who produced unbelievable results late last season when they were brought up from the minors. And Gesellman, I don't know if you knew this, but he's one of your Southern California boys. Really, you know, the local scouts should have plucked him for Dodgers greatness out of high school, but no, we got him at the Mets.
Do you know how much pitching we have? Do you know? Do you know? Come on. You know how much pitching we have? We jettisoned Zach Greinke, and we're still in the playoffs. We were 2 games away from the World Series. Right? So you want to talk pitching? You want to talk pitching? Oh, Clayton Kershaw? Really? You want to talk? The only Cy Young award he lost was when you guys had that stink ball, knuckleball thrower who went to
Dickey.
Toronto. Yeah, R.A. Dickey.
I'm still mad about losing R.A. Dickey.
Yeah,
well,
whatever. Like you know what? Kershaw lost a Cy Young award to him for no other reason than it was a cute story.
Well, you might have pitching, but do you have pitching that can go yard on other pitchers? Like, is Thor going to hit 2 home runs off of Kenton Maeda again this year? Perhaps we should get to your story, seeing as this argument has been shut down.
Opening day a couple years ago, Kershaw pitched a shutout, and he had a solo home run to win the game. So that's all I'm saying.
This is why Sam has done the impossible and turned me into a Los Angeles Dodgers sympathizer, because there's absolutely no getting around Kershaw being... He's amazing. Like, it's impossible not to love that guy. Kid from the wrong side of the tracks that is literally the very best at what he does. Watching him pitch is like watching Da Vinci paint or something like that. And then he takes all his money and he uses it to provide stuff for people that have less than him. And you just cannot fault the guy. You cannot. The guy is so easy to love.
And to the same effect, it's why I love Syndergaard so much. I hate him, and he sends a cold chill through me. But he's so big and so cool and so dominant. And on top of it, when he's asked about, like, oh, are you going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic? He goes, no, I'm a Met. I'm a Met, and I'm here to win games for the Met. And winning the WBC is not going to bring me any closer to a World Series title. Right? Yeah. So this guy, he's just,
No, that's a mindset.
I can't wait until the Dodgers trade for him. It's going to be so sweet.
And on that day, my friend, Satan will be ice skating to work. All right, get on with your story.
Yeah, well, I still got to carve you up.
Do we have time for the story?
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a 2-parter.
8 minutes now and 8 minutes later.
What do you think?
All right, we'll go 2 parts.
Can you bifurcate it? Can you bifurcate it, brother?
What does that word mean?
Doesn't that mean cut it in 2? Oh.
I knew it. I knew you didn't know what that word meant. Funkhouser's always like, you're bifurcating your content again. As a producer, I feel I have to speak up about how you're bifurcating. And then when you ask Funkhouser what bifurcating means, it's Princess Bride all over. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. What does bifurcate mean? Somebody look that up so we can continue to throw it around. Divide in half? I think so.
You want to hear my goddamn story? We'll go 2 parts on it. It's fine.
Okay. Funkhouser?
Okay.
Did you catch
that's really
wait, hold on.
No. Wow, I feel loved here.
You caught the GD?
No,
yeah,
I'm clean.
Okay, go on.
Go on. Story, please.
All right. So look, contrary to all literary misleading, I just got to say this, and listen up, kids. There is nothing romantic about being a starving artist. All right? It sucks. And I will tell you that the converted garage that I was living in, I mean, look, the thing, it had some carpet and it had walls and a window or whatever, but it lacked like other like important components, things like insulation. And God forbid somebody flush a goddamn toilet within a 2-block radius while I was taking a shower. But the thing is, that goddamn garage, it had about as much of a relationship to Hemingway's Paris as my directing career at the time had to say Spielberg's, right? I mean, it was awful. And when you're young, you're like sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm on the front lines of art. And it's like, no, you know what you are? You're like poverty adjacent. And the thing is, like, I was directing and I worked all the time, but I was mostly almost always doing punk rock videos. And they paid, but they paid in things like, artistic freedom, which is basically like, oh, here's some magic beans. Go shoot this for us and then go starve. Like, it was awful. And but I'm like, I'm on the front lines of art. No, I wasn't. But one day I'm laying there on the floor of my garage and my phone rings and I hear, and it's my buddy Scott and Brian. They're like, dude, we've done it. We're putting you in a commercial. And the thing was, Brian was this big commercial director. He was making money hand over fist. I mean, this guy was balling. I lived in a converted garage. He lived in a townhouse at the beach with a roof deck. And Scott was his producer, right? But we all hung out all the time. They were my two best friends. And Scott also produced for me sometimes when he was doing like his good deed charity work. But they go, we're putting you in a commercial. And they'd always threaten to do this so I could make some real cash. But they were always shooting in like Toronto or Vancouver or Germany or North Carolina, like anywhere but Los Angeles. But this time they go, dude, we've got a spot. It shoots next week in LA, 2 days. There's a ton of parts. We're putting you in it, guaranteed. And then Scott goes, listen, man, the media buy on this thing is huge. You're easily going to make like between $30,000 and $50,000. Like, get ready. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Because look, that's good money now, but this was back in the 90s where that was going to be life-changing money. And I'm laying there thinking, oh my God, I could like get a real apartment and like plumbing. And maybe I could even like take the girl, like I was dating this girl, Robin. I'm like, I could probably like take Robin somewhere other than to see bands I was on the list for. I mean, it was kind of amazing that I could actually date at this point because that was like encroaching on like rock drummer territory. Because you know what they call, because you know what they call rock drummers without, a drummer without a girlfriend. You know what they call that? Homeless. Right? And these guys, but they always had these girlfriends who had jobs and lives and homes and cars. It was amazing. And so I call Robin. I was like, baby, guess what? And she's like, oh, that's so exciting. And then the next day, and then Scott and Brian, what they tell me is like, look, tomorrow you just got to go down. You got to see Joe. You got to go see Joe in casting. You go to the casting. We got to put you on tape. It's a formality. It's no big deal. You just go down, put you on tape. You're in the spot. We shoot next week. So the next day, there I am, showered up, wrapped in a towel. I got my clothes folded up, and I put them in the back seat of the car, and I gather my towel around me, and I climb in, and I start driving to my audition, naked. Which begs the question, gee, Sam, why are you driving to your audition naked? Well, I drove this really old SUV. The air conditioning was broken. I obviously did not have the $1,000 I was quoted that it would take to fix it. And the thing was, I lived way out in the West Valley. And everywhere I went for meetings, because all of my meetings for work always took place in like Los Feliz, Silver Lake, East Hollywood, the west side of LA. And because summer is like a 9-month affair in Los Angeles, I had to drive to meetings naked because I had no air conditioning and I could not show up like this sweaty, desperate, horrible mess. I could show up desperate, but not sweaty and horrible. Like I had to look decent. And so I drove everywhere naked. And I went over it like 1,000 times in my head because I knew I was playing with fire. It was really, really bad. And I knew if I ever got caught like in a parking garage getting changed, there was no way I could like spin it to someone I was supposed to meet with or anybody like why I was naked in a parking garage. There is no way to spin out of that. You just can't. And I was always in this near state of anxiety, but what else was I supposed to do? So there I am, and I'm driving to the audition naked, and I'm like praying against hope that like my car doesn't break down. And I get there, and I find somewhere to change, and I get inside, and thing is though, I'm feeling good, right? I'm feeling pretty good because I got that slate blue shirt on that makes me look really good, and it brings out my eyes, and I walk into the casting office, and it's kind of this cavernous place. And there's little offices all around the perimeter, and in the middle, it's just packed with the most beautifully perfect commercial actors and models. And I'm looking around at all of them, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm here. I'm here. I finally crossed over. I'm one of them. And the thing is, I have a dream. I've had this dream since I was a small child. I've never, ever told anyone about this before. All I've ever wanted out of life, all I've ever wanted to be, all I've ever dreamed of. I want to be a model. I desperately want to be a model. I want to be celebrated and doted on and fawned over and loved for nothing more than my sheer beauty. And most people would go, Sam, gee, that's kind of like just surface level, skin deep kind of junk. Like, don't you want to be like, I don't know, celebrated for more in life? Like, ask for more in life? And like, no. No, I don't. Like, not in the least. And you know why? Do you want to know why? Oh, okay. Flash back with me. I'm 8 years old. It's late August. I'm standing in a dressing room at the Miller's Outpost in North Hollywood. And the Miller's Outpost, if you don't know what that is, just imagine like a Western-inspired Gap. And I'm there getting my new fall collection for the coming school year. And I'm in a dressing room. And I'm trying on some pants. It's the same pants I always wear, I always get. It's just the pants I always have. But there's a problem. Something is wrong. There is something wrong with the pants. And I can't put my finger on it, but I'm having an issue. So I call out, I'm like, Mom, I need some help. Mom, help me. And my mother, she comes over, she rips open the curtain, she takes one look at me, and she utters the words that will come to define the rest of my life. She utters words that cut like cold, sharp steel. She takes one look at me and says, "Ugh, you need husky."
You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
Real radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So we are joined in the studio again today by award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein, who is in the middle of the tale of what might have been the worst joke ever. Please continue.
So there I am, and she's looking down at me saying, "You need husky." And I'm like, oh my God. No. Like, I didn't even know what the word meant, but I knew it was bad. And it was. It was really, really bad. And I found out just how bad 2 days later when I showed up at school for the first day of third grade, and my buddy Aaron took one look at me and said, "What happened to you?" And I'm like, I don't know. But it was true. Like, I was fat. I wasn't chunky. I wasn't doughy. I was fat. My thighs bulged out. I had an array of chins, and I had this giant jiggly belly full of probably jelly and donuts and pizza and ice cream. Like, I don't know, like, I guess I have no idea, but I must have spent from like June until August just eating. That's I thought I got out and did stuff that summer, but I guess all I did was eat because I just ballooned up. And now, to make matters so much worse, like horrifically worse, and also this is clear evidence that God hates me. The biggest kids movie of the year, like there was no Pixar back then, but imagine like a Pixar giant super hit Finding Dory Toy Story of my third grade year was a little mobster comedy for the elementary school set starring Jodie Foster and Scott Baio called Bugsy Malone. And in it, there was a character. There was a goddamn character called Fat Sam. Fat Sam. Every kid in my school saw that movie twice. I have still never seen that film. I will go to my grave having never seen this goddamn film. Oh, but after that, all I was Fat Sam, Fat Sam, fat, you fat Sam, fat Sam, right? Like I was Fat Sam from third grade until the end of high school, until I graduated high school. I was Fat Sam. I was tortured day in and day out every single day of my life. And you want to know how bad that torture got? It was October of my junior year of high school, and I'm at a party, and it's packed with kids, and I got some liquid courage going, and there she is across the party, Kelly Kurtrowski. She was from the Catholic school, and she was that girl that wore her uniform like it was a dare, and I was just full of liquid courage, and I just went up across the party to her, and I made my move, and I hit on Kelly. And she looked up at me, and she just smiled at me with the way her lip would curl up with that sinister little sexy smile. And she goes, "But Sam, you're fat. You're Fat Sam." So yeah, I want to be a model. I want to be celebrated and loved and doted on and fawned over for nothing more than my genetic perfection. That is all I want out of life. And now here I am with all of the other models, and I'm there at the commercial and at the audition, and I can't wait because now I have crossed over to hell with you, Kelly. And we get called in. Joe calls us all into the audition, and I'm lined up with 5 other of the model dudes, and I'm feeling good, and I'm third in line, and Joe puts the camera on the first guy, and he goes, "Hey, tell me about your first car." And the guy tells a charming little story about his first car, because that's what they do in castings for models. They ask us questions because they want to know about our model-like personalities. They go to the next guy, "Tell me about your first job." And he tells them all about his cute first job. And then they get to me. And Joe looks at the sheet and he goes, "Oh, Sam, you're born and raised in Los Angeles. So, tell me, have you seen a rise in violent crime over the course of your life? Like, has Los Angeles become like a far more dangerous place to live since you've been alive?" Excuse me? What? Like, what? He goes, yeah, tell me. Like, is it really like kind of dangerous and murdery now? The way the audition was described to me, Scott and Brian called me the next day. I'm laying on the floor of my garage. And they go, "Dude," they're back on the speakerphone. They go, "Oh my God, we're in there with the agency producer and the art director and everybody. And we're watching casting tapes, and this dude's telling this story about his car, and another guy's talking about his job. And then the camera pans over, and there's this big empty space. And then the camera jiggles, and it points down. And when it lands on you, the agency producer, he screams out, 'Ah, who let the serial killer in? And everybody starts laughing, and they're like going, what's with the serial killer? Look at the serial killer. Jesus Christ, who let the serial killer in? And it was just insane. And he was going like, oh my God, you got to fire that casting guy. Look at that. He brings in a serial killer. And like they said, for the rest of the day, all this guy did was talk about the serial killer, the serial killer. And it was just, and it was just, they went, and then you started talking about murder rates and citing statistics. Like, dude, what were you doing? So later that night, I'm laying there on the floor, and Robin calls, and she's like, what happened? What happened with the audition? When do you shoot? And I go, oh. And I tell her what happens, and I'm like, yeah, the agency producer just kept calling me a serial killer. And she goes, oh, yeah, I get that. I see that. And I'm like, wait, what? Robin, what? And she goes, oh, yeah, I always thought you looked like one of those character actors that, like on Law and Order, right? Where you're like the pedophile who kills the kid. And then, but at the end, in the court part, you're found innocent, but you never really trust him. I'm like, Robin, really? And she goes, what, you're not mad, are you? I don't really, I know you would never do that. And she goes, but what happened? What happened with the commercial? And I said, what happened? Well, the agency producer, at the end of the day, he looked at Scott and Brian. He said, hey, guys, cast anybody you want. Just keep that serial killer off my set.
Sleepless nights, nothing ever seems like it will be.
Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So we're joined in the studio by award-winning storyteller Sam Feirstein. Is there more to this? Like, do we get to ask follow-up questions? Or
you can ask whatever you would like. I am here for you.
So I mean, but that there's no more story left. No more like that. That's it. That was the end of the story.
I was not in the commercial. I did not make $50,000.
So did your friends really just get you in there to humiliate you and play you? And
no, not in the least. They are genuinely some of my best friends.
Okay.
To this day, like we are still where I like celebrate Thanksgiving and birthdays. Like this is like family, and no, they were legitimately there. But look, they could not like. I mean,
did they miss a memo? Because if it's like if
I'm okay. Like, look, if I lived in Cleveland, I'd be like a 12, right? Like but in LA, I'm like a 6.5 or something. And then you put me next to a model, and I'm a 2 with like a bloody knife in my hand. Is what it kind of comes down to. And like you, like a good friend like you, they just laugh at my.
But they sent you there with every intention of you getting the gig.
Oh yeah, no, they were 100% genuine. They were like, "You're getting this gig," and yeah. And then I learned recently, like when a casting guy does that, and he'd been warned by Scott Bryan, they're like, "This is our buddy. We want to make this right." But when casting people do that, sometimes when they see somebody come into their casting and they want to kind of like scuttle them, they'll totally ask them that kind of question. They'll just do it to like burn them.
It's a horrible, horrible industry that you work in. That's the terrible, terrible thing. But I didn't know that you had designs on being an actor. Like I didn't know that. Because as long as I've known you, you've always been a director, you've always been a writer, you've always been sort of like the other side of the creative process. I had no idea that you had aspirations of being an empty vessel for somebody else.
Yeah, no, I had no aspirations to be an actor. I cannot act. I mean, like what I would love to be as an actor is like I'd love to be that like fifth SWAT guy into the room who, he's the guy who just gets blown away first. Like that would be like the extent of my acting ability that I would love to do. But no, but yes, I would love like I I used to drag 200 pounds of camera gear up mountains in the desert when I was a camera assistant, while the models would be sitting there under like a portable air conditioner and being misted and doted on by people. And I was thinking, they're winning, I'm losing, and I want to be doted on for nothing but my sheer beauty.
You would like a reputation that was solely based on being really, really, really ridiculously good looking.
Dude, I have such demons in me. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do CrossFit 6 days a week, and every time I'm working out, I'm surrounded by ghosts yelling at me, "Fat Sam, Fat Sam." So, yeah.
So, like, I actually, I think I had that movie on video cassette. You never watched it?
I've never seen it.
There's there's a song called Fat Sam's Grand Slam in it. Not even kidding. Funkhouser, can you pull up the song Fat Sam's Grand Slam?
No.
From the movie Bugsy Malone? Starring a young Scott Baio and a young Jodie Foster.
I really don't want to team up against Sam.
No, oh, here we go. It's kind of like fat people music.
Anybody who is, anybody will soon walk through that door at Fat Sam's Grand Slam. Easy. Always able to find you a table that's room.
Tell me when it's over. Took off my headset.
Fat Sam's Grand Slam. Speak easy.
All right. That's enough, Funkhouser. And I'm going to temper that torture by telling you a very similar story, something that happened to me at the hands of my humiliating mother, similar to something's wrong with these pants. They won't go on. Oh, you're husky. I don't know if see, here's the thing. It wasn't broken upon me that I was husky by my parents. I either realized this by myself or they did. When we moved to England, I went from being this outdoor hiking, biking, playing football, playing baseball kid that would run around for miles and miles every single day with my dog to corporate housing boy. We got stuck in my dad's corporate housing for I think it was 4 months, and corporate housing was nothing more than a hotel. You couldn't go outside, you couldn't walk, you couldn't exercise. I was miserable. I had to leave my dog behind in America, and what my mom would do every single day when I got home, she would attempt to cushion my sadness with this thing that we discovered in England that has made its way over to America now, but I never had it before. It's essentially a combination of butter and sugar and flour, and it's called shortbread, and it's awesome. So every single day I would have a big fried English breakfast, progressively, increasingly waddle my way to the school bus and go to school.
How old were
everybody? Oh gosh, 7. Something like that.
Oh, yeah,
So right around the same sort of age. And not only that, we were in corporate housing, meaning all the clothes that I had amassed in my life, in my 7 years of life up till that point, all the clothes that I had amassed in my life were in storage somewhere. So I had like 2-3 pairs of jeans. And like 3 or 4 different sweatshirts and T-shirts, and like also no place to do laundry. So I got known as the husky kid in 2nd or 3rd grade or whatever the hell it was that wore the same thing to school every single day. And when you don't have a home, you don't really have people over to it all that often. So I was this friendless kid that wore the same clothes every single morning, eating fried English breakfast and coming home and having a dinner of shortbread every single night. Needless to say, the pounds were not shy about packing themselves on to my young frame. And my mom, even though indirectly she was responsible for it, for forcibly force-feeding me shortbread, was a little bit merciless with this. I think maybe her father had teased his kids about their weight, thinking that would be the way to get them into the gym and get them motivated or whatever the hell it was. And she followed suit. And I will never forget watching and having had similar problems getting pairs of pants on that used to fit me. I saw a television commercial one day, and I'm sitting there with my mom, and I'm sitting there with my dad, and we're watching a TV commercial, and a commercial for jeans comes on, and it says, "These jeans are shrink to fit." And I was like, "Mom, I'm having problems getting my jeans on. Could I get some shrink to fit jeans?" And my mom looks at me and goes, "Why don't you shrink to fit?"
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, 8. I was 8.
God. Yeah, I was in for a checkup. I think I was 10 or 11, and I was in with the pediatrician. and he's checking me out, and I could tell, and then he looks at me at the end of the thing, and he goes, at the end of the exam, and he goes, and now we got to do something about that spare tire.
Sucks being a fat kid. Would you? What about gym class where you had to play shirts and skins?
Forget. Oh no, you're never on
Just
skins. You're never on skins. And because I was in
you're
LA,
never on shirts. You're in I swear every gym teacher in the world picks the fat kid to be the captain of the
always,
skins
yeah.
team.
But then also, like, if you're at a swimming party or something, you're the kid like swimming in a t-shirt. Because that'll help hide this. But the worst. No, let me tell you the worst. I was trapped in a carpool for 2 years, 5th and 6th grade, with this dirty rat named Heather Greenberg. That's her real name. Find her on Facebook and destroy her. Because every single day, and she was like that bone-thin piece of crap who would just look at me every day and be like, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat. Oh, nobody likes you because you're fat. You're just stupid fat. You're spoiled with food. You're a fat, right? And she's like, oh my God, just awful. In 2 years, and how do you know? And this was back before like parents would get involved in things, and nobody would like stop this girl, and it was just brutal. And you can't do anything because it's a girl. And then if I do something, then I'm like this fat, heinous, like girl beating monster. Which like it's lose anyway you go. And I did finally like recently I looked her up on Facebook to see if I could find her because I still despise her.
Did she get fat?
Her husband's fat.
Nice.
Her kids are fat.
Maybe you had a chance.
And I just want to run into him at a mall somewhere. I'm like always on the look.
So, like, I think your Porky Damage followed you around a little more closely than mine. Like, at what point did you stop being the fat kid? Like, how old were you?
I don't know. Probably somewhere in my 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was like, and then I wasn't like then I started biking and doing distance biking and things and started learning when I was about 25 was when I first started learning how different foods metabolize in your system.
I'll never forget realizing that Sam was my most Los Angeles friend. Like when I read his Facebook post once that said, "I'm so hungry, I could eat a carb." I was just like, there it is.
Hey, I was in Italy last year and I did not eat any pizza or bread or pasta because that would be like,
wow.
It's like, no, because it's not a big deal because I haven't eaten. No, it isn't. It's like if a vegetarian or a vegan goes to Texas, it's not like, oh, here I'm going to have some barbecue, right? It's the same thing. Whereas when I was in Texas, damn straight I had the damn barbecue.
Right.
But not the cornbread.
Right. That's amazing. See, like for me...
But it was really in my 30s when I really started to train hard with trainers and really started to work at it.
See, here's I think... summer of the 8th grade, all my it all melted away, and I came back. I remember leaving school after the 8th grade and feeling like a little jiggly, and then like I can't remember what I did the summer between the 8th and the 9th grade, but I remember going, oh wow, look, stomach muscles, that's pretty cool.
Puberty,
yeah, like it all went away. So I didn't carry my fat kid damage off into my 20s. So,
see, puberty again. Why God hates me? Like I kept looking because I had older siblings who were, they got tall and thin when puberty hit, and I'm like, come on, puberty, come on, puberty, come on, puberty. Nope, no tall, no thin, but I got acne, so now I'm the fat kid with acne. Pizza in my belly, pizza on my face. I'm the fat kid with acne.
I do remember, and kids can be so freaking cruel. I remember when I went through all that. I was a chubby kid with acne probably like the year before, 7th grade. And then it all cleared up. Like when it really mattered, it all cleared up. I got thin and had noticeable muscle form, and my face cleared up in time for the 9th grade. So it wasn't a miserable high school existence.
Lucky you.
But I remember, and kids can be so freaking mean. I remember my best friend Billy coming up to me in like the 7th grade or the 6th grade, looking at my face and going, "Huh, it's like counting stars." I was just like,
"Oh."
Fortunately, we're both so well-adjusted now. Isn't that great? Yeah, it's fantastic. Sam Feirstein, it's always an awesome time having you here. Go Mets.